Hello. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Golf at the Park, Angel Park Golf Club's weekly interview show. Want to start right off at the top and ask you to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's done that already. And tell your friends about the show. We'd really love to spread the word. So thank you for that. And on that note, I want to welcome in our guest today, Michael Craigwood. Michael, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks
Appreciate it, man. Real quick about Mike before we get into his story. I met Mike a little over a year ago, and it was really, really cool. But we've been fortunate enough to work together quite a bit, and a lot of the content that you've seen at Angel Park over this last year has been done by Mike. So we're really appreciative of that, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But at the top, let's just start with your golf story. When did you start playing? How did it begin?
Right. So golf story started when I was young. I was about 11 years old. My uncle was staying with us. We lived in Santa Rosa, California, and we lived on my grandpa's property. It was a big property, a couple acres, and there was a huge field. So my uncle was out there hitting balls in the field, and I just went out there to see what he was doing. He just gave me a 1-iron, and I just started popping that over the fence, and he was like, man, we got to get out there and start golfing on real golf courses. And that's kind of where it all started, just hitting balls in.
So not a golf course, not a driving range, just hitting it in a field.
Yep.
And hitting a 1-iron?
And a 1-iron, yeah.
That's hard to do as a kid. Yeah. It's hard to do as an adult.
Just off of little piece of AstroTurf. But yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Well, yeah, if you can hit that, then you're going to have fun with the game. So you started playing fairly young. Did you play in high school?
Yeah, so I didn't play for I played like throughout my youth, but just like sparingly with friends, and then got on the golf team my senior year when I moved schools, actually, to like a school more up north.
So you transferred schools in the middle of high school and then played on the golf team your senior year?
Yeah.
Fun. We always like hearing about how golf teams, high school golf teams go. I'm sure we'll get into some stories about that later. So after high school, what happens with golf from there?
Oh, yeah. So like, I didn't play very much in the military, maybe a couple of times on a few base courses.
So you went into the military after high school?
Yeah. And then, when I got out of the military, I didn't play for very much either, but somewhere towards right before I moved to Las Vegas, I bought a pair of clubs on OfferUp and kind of got back into it, but not really. But once I moved to Las Vegas, I was like fully back into golf. I didn't really have a lot of friends or anything else to do, and I missed the greenery of Washington. So I loved Angel Park because it had water, birds, and trees.
Yeah, right. Well, it's good for all of those things. So how many years ago is that? So you really didn't pick the game back up until you got to Vegas. When was that?
2018.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
So 2018, you start really picking it back up seriously, and you're practicing mostly. Are you playing? What's your rhythm once you start playing again in 18?
Yeah, so I mean, I mostly was just practicing, like hitting driving ranges. Then, I found Cloud9 and would play like Durango Hills every here or there, just shorter, easier courses. But yeah, like eventually I just started wanting more, I really got into like trading clubs on OfferUp and just like upgraded my whole bag and got out here and played more out here. I don't know if you know about that Golf Now pass, but
sure.
Yeah, like I would just find deals on that and just try to find tee times on, especially during COVID when there was nothing to do, all of us were stuck in either on a golf course or inside.
Yeah, COVID changed the game, and it actually grew golf, right? Because everybody wanted to be outside and get healthy. So golf really, in an odd way, was helped by COVID. One of the things that I found when you started, or when we met, is you were doing practice videos of putting. So you have a practice regimen or routine?
Yeah, so I practice. In a way, it's mostly just for like exercise, but it's like I do have like a routine. I think the short game is the most important, so that's probably the thing I work on the most. And I always work my way through my wedges through like at least my mid irons. But like depending on what I want to work on that day, maybe it's my driver, my fairway woods, or my long irons, like my 5 and my 4 iron, because those can just come in like clutch opportunities, like a long par 3, 195 yard par 3, like maybe that's my 4 iron and I can stick a nice shot there. but a 5 iron or a 5 wood would be like way too much. So it's just like figuring out those little things that I'm not very good at, and I don't have a lot of opportunity on the course to really practice. But yeah, or it's like the thing I did the worst on my last round. So that could
That's
be,
what you're working on.
yeah, and that could be just like my driver was awful my last round, so I'm working on my driver today, and I'll like just hit my wedges up to like my 8 iron and then stop at my 8 iron and just get my driver out and hit it a bunch of times, back away, take a break, get up there, try it again, start doing it really slow so that you get more space in between your swings, and just trying to like dial in that consistency between time, you know?
Yeah.
I think like reps are make it easier, but sometimes not.
And I know you play Cloud 9 a lot, and
Yeah.
you walk. So let's talk a little bit about that, because sometimes you'll walk Cloud 9 twice in a week. So I know that you enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes like, you know, if it's not that busy out there, it takes like an hour, hour and a half to walk it. So if I have some time in my schedule and I'm just trying to get some exercise in, I got to take some time for myself because I work pretty much from the morning till the evening. But
Editing, but
yeah.
we'll get into that in a minute.
editing and different things. But yeah, so Cloud9's great. It really helps you work on your short game. And if you dial in that driver, you'll find that a lot of the distances in Cloud9 tend to find yourself in a spot where you're like, I'm about where I would be on a real course away from a green if I hit like a really nice drive.
Right.
So you kind of work on that approach.
It helps
and
with
that
course
putting.
management a little bit, right?
100%,
On a big
yeah.
course.
Yeah, like and what's even cooler, and I was talking about this with a friend yesterday, was just that Cloud9 is a whole lot of feel shots. You know what I mean? Like that 65-yard chip shot, that's like a weird thing to do a full swing with. So
Right.
you kind of like just start to learn those feel shots, like how much you're putting into something and what you get out of it, you know?
Yeah. And I know that one of the things that you've improved a lot is just playing the game this last year. You moved to the tips. You've gotten advice and mini lessons from some people. So tell us about your golf journey this year.
Yeah, so shout out to Bailey from Angel Park team. He gave me a
Bailey.
huge tip one day. I got partnered on his golf squad while we were out on Palm, and I was just having some trouble with my driver, and he gave me a tip that, like, in one tip, fixed so much for me. And in the moment, it fixed quite a bit, but I've really worked on it, and that's like led to a much smoother tempo, more tempo-focused swing, and I'm getting a lot more out of like my contact, and it's great.
And this year you moved from the blue tees to the tips, right?
Yeah, and just like that one tip is like just that better contact, that more tempo, like just feeling more confident taking a bigger swing. You know, I've got way more distance, and it's allowed me to move more to the tips. And I broke 80 from the tips once, but I've also had a really terrible game from the tips. So it's like, it just depends.
Breaking 80 from the tips is really good. I mean,
Cool.
that's a good score, man.
Thanks.
So especially when it just takes so long to get good at this game.
Yeah.
That's always fun. What are some of your favorite golf memories, favorite places to play?
Yeah, favorite golf memories. One favorite golf memory I have actually was, it was a time when I wasn't golfing very often. It was like, I was actually in the military, and I took my girlfriend at the time out golfing, and I chipped in my drive from the fairway, and I was like, that was an eagle. Like, that was actually pretty sick. And so that's a really cool memory I have.
First eagle is a great memory.
Yeah, and it's just like putting it in from the fairway, holding out from the fairway is like just freaking cool. Like,
Yeah. What about some of your favorite courses? Favorite places
courses.
to play?
Yeah, Angel Park is my favorite course, obviously.
Shameless plug.
And yeah, shameless. Like it's it's truly slept on. Y'all did a lot of work on the grass this past year, and I feel like the greens are rolling better than they ever have. And then even more, it's just like such a creative course. There's so much going on. There's so many like the Palm is perhaps the easier course than the Mountain, but like you were talking about, there is the par threes are sneaky tricky because they are almost all over water, or like they just feel
Forced
a lot
carries,
further.
yeah.
Yeah, and just the greens are huge on the par threes. So when you're trying to dial in the center of the green based off of your GPS or something, you could be 20 yards off.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge putt. And yeah, so it's like, then the better you get at this, like at golf, like the course becomes like different the way you can play it. And
For sure.
So that's something else I love about both Mountain and Palm is that, like, yeah, just the way you play it tends to change based on your skill level, and it's really approachable for all skill levels, which is super cool.
Yeah, one of the things Angel Park has going for it is just its versatility, right? I mean, there's a little bit of everything here, which is nice. But what about some of your other favorite places or dream courses that you want to play?
Yeah, like so Rhodes Ranch is like I've played that a few times. I really love that place and that cute little like community.
Yeah, and it's built kind of up like this, which is good, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it's just a beautiful course. It's very well manicured. There's times where I was like brushing the grass around the green. And I'm like, I thought this was AstroTurf. It looks so perfect, and it's actually real grass. So
Yeah.
like great stuff there. Bear's Best is amazing, super beautiful course, and I love that black sand. Like I dream about it sometimes, and some of the carries there are insane. So it's like a really fun course to play.
Shout out to Kevin Swain at Bear's Best. We love all the guys out there. So
If you guys want to film some content, and then I never played Paiute, but I really want to. I know they have a couple of courses, and
yeah,
it looks
there's
tricky.
3 out there, and they're all great.
Yeah, and so that would be like kind of a dream. And shout out Vegas Golf Network. Hopefully, we're playing Paiute in April, I think.
Yeah, let's shout out some of the groups that you've worked with. Vegas Golf Network, what's up, guys? We're hoping to have one of you in on the show. I know you've done some work with Random Golf Club. JR will be our guest next week,
Random Golf
so
Club.
we'll get into Random Golf Club then. What about some of the other companies you've worked with? Because I know you've worked with a couple of golf companies, and we'll get into, I guess, a little bit more of what you do for a living later. But just real quick, as far as the golf stuff goes.
Yeah, so I've worked with some smaller companies, like 7-Iron Golf, which is not 5-Iron Golf,
Right.
and some other ones that I can't totally pronounce the name of, which I feel bad about. And then, I've worked with Vessel Golf and Asher Golf, which are some more luxury golf retailers, and they've been really supportive in helping me grow what I do and making content for golf brands.
Yeah, the vessel stuff is really great that you've been doing lately. Love all of that.
Thanks.
Let's go ahead and shift back to memories. Do you have a least favorite golf memory?
Yes, I do, and it's a memory I'll never forget. It's burned in my brain. It was when I was on that high school golf team, and so I had a tournament that was like up by Tahoe, by where my grandparents lived, and so they came out and rode the cart and just like kind of rode along while we were playing, and the first couple holes went fantastic, but I was putting so much pressure on myself to like do great,
Right.
and I didn't do great. I started just chunking. I got to a par 3 with water over it. I put the ball in the water. Then I took my drop, put my drop in the water, took another drop, put that drop in the water.
No.
And I'm just sitting there like so angry with myself and feel so embarrassed. And I had no sense of like temper control when I was a kid. And I just chucked my sand wedge right into the water and was like, fuck this game.
Right into
Excuse
the
my
water.
language. But
Yep.
yeah. And yeah, that's kind of like what happened. And eventually one of my friends went and fished it out of there for me, thank God. And he gave it to me after the tournament and even reached out to me recently when he saw one of my golf clips. Was like, I remember that kid who threw that sand wedge in the water that one day. But it was, an embarrassing but true memory that
I think
of me totally losing my composure as a kid.
I think anybody who's played high school golf probably has a least favorite golf memory from high school. The first time I ever got to play as the number 1 man on the team, I went out and crapped the bed, and I was that's my worst golf memory. I wrecked my car driving home. It was awful. So high school golf can definitely be torturous. What about professional golf? Do you follow any of the guys on tour? Or do you like watching golf?
So I watch a ton of golf when I can, but like just it's more like passive stuff, more like highlights, and I don't have a ton of time to watch sports in general. But some of the people I model my game after a little bit are more like Jordan Spieth, like tempo players. I'm losing his name again.
I don't know.
I just thought about it too. It's so crazy. He like talks a lot of crap online too. He's pretty funny. But I play like Rory McIlroy's blades. So I play this P7MBs from TaylorMade, but I do not model my swing after him because he just like has a very aggressive swing.
So you play blades?
Yeah, and that's just like from a desire of, one, I like to punish myself, and two, I just felt like the way to get really good at golf was to play something that you had to be good at to control, and then just over time I learned it, and but also I just was really interested in learning how to shape shots. And
Right.
it's just really hard to do that with cavity backs. You know, they almost just always go straight or like off in a direction.
Right. Yeah. So you've played blades and you like to shape shots, course management. I know you've talked a lot about. So, are you still hard on yourself? Do you push yourself still, or can you go out and just really enjoy it?
I mean, I definitely can go out and enjoy it. I have like games where it's just like this is a practice day, but then I have days where like I want to post a score, like just to like for my handicap, you know, and I put more pressure on myself, and that's just kind of like, it's a blessing and a curse, you know what I'm saying? And I got that a lot from skateboarding. Just like I'll beat myself up trying to land a trick and try it again and again and again and get up and have bruises and scrapes and be bleeding, and it's just like get this, and then I do it and I'm like yes, and it's like for that one just victorious moment, and it's like I'll continuously do that. And but that's kind of been, you know, I don't skateboard anymore because I hurt myself too many times and I need to work, and I'm just getting older. And so I found golf, and golf kind of gives me a lot of the same things. You know, I'll get into my head like, come on, let's get out here, let's do this the right way, but then sometimes it doesn't go that way.
One of my favorite tattoos that I've ever seen is your tattoo, your skateboarding tattoo. So go ahead and show that.
Yeah, so it's just me, a series of me jumping on a skateboard and then falling and breaking my arm on my head, and that's quite literally what happened. And I have a big scar here with a plate in there, and I got 12 screws, and
That's
awesome.
Fantastic. I love that tattoo. And you actually have made the analogy before that golf is like skateboarding, and I had never heard that before. But it's interesting because it's a game where it's solo. You're really competing against yourself. And yeah, it's not easy to pick up and do, especially if you want to be really good at it.
Yeah, and like something I got from golf or something I got from skateboarding, and it really transitions into golf, is that like I always want more. So in skateboarding, I might have like landed a kickflip, but now I want to kickflip over this 3-stair. Now I want to kickflip over this 10-stair. Now I want to kickflip and then hit it in a board slide and then get out. And it's like you're always just trying to level up what you're doing, and it's
a dopamine rush, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you just want to keep hitting that feeling when you hit a great shot, when you shape a shot perfect.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes I get in a tricky situation. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna try to shape this shot out of here, and I out of the trees, and I'm like, oh,
it's the best feeling there is.
It doesn't even have to hit the green. I just got it out of there, and I hit my window, and I'm like, yes, like.
No, that's my favorite, and that's why we want to have people on. It's just for the love of golf and hearing everybody's different takes on it. Let's get into what you do really fast. A little background on Mike. I met him a little over a year ago. Again, he's the reason that all of our content game has really stepped it up, and I've learned a lot from Mike. So why don't you start with how you got into filmmaking, and then we'll get a little bit back more into the golf.
Yeah, so how I got into filmmaking, you know, I actually got out of the military, signed up for art school in Seattle, started as an audio engineer, actually, got my bachelor's degree in audio engineering, and then went back to school for camera work. And when I got out of school doing camera stuff, I got a job out here in Las Vegas working for an advertising company that did ads on the Strip, and shot a lot of videos for them. Eventually I got some work from like Lionsgate, and I did like a couple little cool videos, maybe one for like Pepsi and one for the Only Las Vegas, kind of like the people who made the, what do you call it? The slogan, if it happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas.
Yeah. The LVCVA, the Convention Authority.
Exactly, yeah. And so that eventually led to me going freelance. And then since I've been freelance, I did some cool editing and different type of work for some different types of agencies and, you know, companies like Nike, Facebook, Foot Locker, and, you know, now I'm trying to transition more into golf. So it's like Vessel Golf, Asher Golf, and, you know, any other golf companies that are looking to really elevate their brand. That's kind of the next step that I'm taking. And so,
well, we're going to get to that in just a second. Let's go back to Mike, the video wizard. So every drone footage you've seen here at Angel Park over the last year is Mike, and he's really different than any other drone footage we had ever seen. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I fly FPV drones. They're a little more acrobatic than your conventional drone. I got into FPV drone because I thought it was different, and it just gave me more options. I felt that if I wanted to fly slow and still, I can if I want. But if I want to flip it around and fly through trees, then I can if I want. And that's why I went the route of FPV, but it is a totally different look.
Right.
So, there's a give and take there. But it's becoming a more popular style of drone flying, but it takes like so much practice, and it's not something that is like automated that we, excuse me. It's not something that we can just like automate like with some of these other different, more conventional flying drones. So yeah, that's I wanted to do that and kind of take it into the golf world and do something a little different. I've seen some really cool golf stuff, like with the Tom Brady video where he made that hole out from the fairway and they followed him, and it's like, man, that's amazing. And I want to do stuff like that. It's more about finding the opportunities, and I think I've honed the skills finally. But
well, that was one of the things that I was really interested in is the next step that you want to go to. And I know that it's heavy golf influenced or creatively driven. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I was thinking one day, if I can't be a pro golfer, I want to work in golf somehow. And so I started making golf videos, and that has really opened up a lot of doors for me. And I feel like maybe I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, because all I do is make videos and golf.
That's
and
so fun.
It's just like, when I say it out loud, I feel guilty. So, I want to share this with people. And so I decided and this is a very recent decision actually, but I want to make a creative agency that is really focused around golf, beer, and food. And so those are my three favorite things. I'm super passionate about great beer. I lived in Seattle for a long time and worked in the craft brewing industry and learned so much. And moving off of that, like a lot of the restaurants I worked around made really, really great food from locally sourced ingredients and just really thoughtful preparation and stuff like that. And I'm super passionate about sustainable agriculture, and I really want to make my change in the world if I can. And so just kind of creating like an agency where brands can come and get content strategy as well as high level content for their golf brand or their beer brand or their food brand, to connect with their audience on a more in a more authentic and more like community driven way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of through the lens of storytelling, but there's a lot of different ways of doing this.
Well, golf, beer, and food is a pretty easy sell. I mean, those are three of everyone's favorite things. And I love that you're looking for stories. In this day and age with content, it's hard to keep anybody's attention span for longer than 60 seconds, unless you're telling a story, which is what we're trying to do here. And I know you're angling more towards. And there was instructional videos that you were thinking about doing. Why don't you tell us some about that as well?
Yeah. So also in this like mission here is really to give value in a lot of ways, right? And not just in, beer and food and golf, but like in, to the community, to small business owners and things like that. Right. So, like you said, like golf instructional videos, I think it would be really amazing. And like, shout out to Vonnie in June at the
More Angel Park guys
Golf Club. We were all talking about putting together like some instructional videos that are like golf lessons, and they would be free online for value for people to just come in, chime in, learn about Angel Park, learn about us and what we're doing, and maybe take something away from it. And then you can find some really awesome instructors here at Angel Park and book time with them. And so that would be a really cool, like just full circle moment there of like giving something to the community and finding something to bring back. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we love that. And so that's kind of all the things. Let's drop your tag, right? You're at Mike the Video Wizard on Instagram. We'll put that up on the screen. You're going to want to go check Mike out for all of his different things that he's got going on and in the cooker for creative content. Really want to thank you again, Mike, for coming in. And that's going to bring us to the last segment of our show. We call it the Par 5, where we ask the same 5 questions to every guest. You ready to go, Mike?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Question number 1. What's your favorite golf movie?
Okay, favorite golf movie is The Greatest Game Ever Played, the one with Shia LaBeouf.
Yep, great story, true story.
Yeah, about an amateur who gets into the U.S. Open and actually wins it, and like super cool. And I mean,
we met is his name. Yeah,
doesn't every amateur golfer just want that weird opportunity to just get into a pro level thing and then ball out for 4 days straight. Like, come on.
It's so great. I love that one. And that's a good answer. That's the second time we've had that answer. So love that. Question number 2. What's your favorite club in your bag and why?
Yeah, so that is my 52 degree Titleist SM8 Vokey wedge. Like, just love that thing. I can hit a lot of different shots with it. You know, keep it low, hit it high, flop shots, put a lot of spin on it, take a lot of spin off of it. I feel really comfortable with that club. It's just like a really nice, like, you know, your wedges are just like the quickest transition for your swing. So it's just like to me, feels really comfortable, like a quick transition. It's like boom, and it's just that shot that's like within 100 yards. And
yeah.
If you're smashing your drive, and if you're playing from the blues and you're smashing your drive, for sure you're going to be hitting your 52 a lot that day. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Wedges are always the most personable club, right? Like everybody's got a wedge that they hold on to like a security blanket. So we love that answer. Question number 3, what's your dream foursome? So if you could play golf with any 3 people alive or dead, who would you play golf with?
Yeah, so that would be Steph Curry for sure.
Second time we've had Steph Curry as an answer on this show.
Yeah, he's got to be like one of my favorite athletes ever of all time. So I'm just a huge fan in general. And then, you know, Tom Brady would be a great athlete to have there. And then I think Schoolboy Q would just like make the foursome.
Schoolboy Q is not an answer that I was expecting to get. Why don't you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, some of my favorite brands like Malvin Golf and Nike sponsor Schoolboy Q, and he was playing in the AT&T Pro Amateur contest, and I didn't know this guy was a baller, so I just wanted to, like, when I saw that he played when he played golf and he was a gamer, I was like, it would be really cool to play golf with him.
That's
one day,
such a new
right?
generation answer. I love that. That's really cool. Question number 4. What's your aiming fluid? What do you drink on the golf course?
Water. Got to stay hydrated. You know, maybe a long time in the military taught me that, but
So just water.
just water. Yeah, caffeine makes me jittery. Beer makes me sloppy. If I'm playing awful, maybe it's beer.
Yeah. So if you're already playing bad, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like this is a for fun game today now.
That's great. Question number 5. It's the end of our show. I want to thank you again for tuning in. I want to let you know that this is potentially where the show is no longer PG rated. Some of the answers can get a little bit wild. But let's go with question number 5. When you're hitting your 52-degree wedge out on the golf course and you've hit 2 or 3 bad shots in a row, what do you say? What do you do? Are you a tantrum? I know you threw one into the water when you were in high school, but you don't do that anymore, I'm guessing.
No, I'm still pretty hard on myself, to be honest. Like, I'm hard on myself in everything, so it's not just golf. But I don't know. It's like, you know, just keep trying, I guess, because I think what I try to do is just like steady myself more and just start thinking about like basics and like little things that do work. But if it just keeps not working out, I don't know, drink more, I guess.
So you really don't, you're more internally hard on yourself when you do it.
I can get a little externally hard on myself. Like, I'll get a pound in the club, or I'll be like, God dang it, Michael.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to take it out on you.
That's great. No, that's a great answer. We love that. So we're going to throw Mike's contact information down at the bottom again. Really want to thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, please. Join us next week when we're going to have J.R. McMichael from Random Golf Club on. And again,
JR.
thanks for tuning in, and hit 'em straight from your friends at Angel Park Golf Club. Cheers.